Hey, this is pizzadudemanguy. It feels like forever since I used that name. And yeah, nothing fancy here. No like intro or music or special editing or anything like that. I don't really have the time or patience for something like that anymore. Not right now, anyway. But I'm noticing online a pretty good number of people now talking about a potential next Super Smash Brothers game, given the number of years or just amount of time, I suppose, since the release of Ultimate and the release of the last character and stuff like that. So I just thought it'd be fun to kind of go back and talk about, okay, well, now looking at it, who do I think would be like the top 10 characters that could be added in a future Smash installment? So just a maybe quick video just for fun here. Pretty improvised. I made a list already, so I'll kind of be looking back and forth the notes, probably cutting parts out like that. Um, so for the purpose of this video, let's assume that in some fashion, whether this is like a Mario Kart 8 Deluxe like situation or just with a lot of hard work coming out years down the line, let's assume somehow every character returns. There's no cuts. We have the same kind of roster, and so that's going to follow the same kind of patterns. Who do I think would be the top 10 candidates for a future Smash Brothers? I guess that's it. Let's get into it. For number 10, I'm going with Monster Hunter. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate already has a ton of Monster Hunter assets in it. It's got the Rathlos, it's got music, it's got Mii costumes. So I'm just going with the idea that a playable character would be the next step there. From my understanding, the idea of having Monster Hunter character in Smash is, I think, on a global scale, not like super popular, but not super unpopular, but something that's a bit more popular in Japan. Um, I don't have like exact numbers or quotes or anything like that, just general trends that I've looked at recently and in the past. Um, but yeah, this is just the idea that it's going from where it is now to in the future, getting a Monster Hunter character playable in Smash. Now, Monster Hunter is something that is not exclusively Nintendo, but is very heavily tied to Nintendo and is pretty dang popular. So I think that'd be a really cool addition. There's lots of different weapons to pick and choose and build a fun move set out of. So, like I said, there's not been a thing where I've seen like a ton of like push for adding Monster Hunter as a character in Smash. So that's why I have it at the bottom of my list 10. It was kind of a thing. I had like 8 characters, and then it's like 2 more beyond that. I'm like, oh yeah, I guess these ones. For number 9, I'm going with Dr. Eggman. Once again, this is a character I haven't seen like a big push of support for. It's more of this idea that, I mean, we used to think back during like Brawl and Smash 4 days that, oh yeah, if a third party series already in Smash got a second character, it'd be Sonic first. Sonic is so big and Sonic has so many iconic characters. And I mean, that's still true, but it is more subdued now than it used to be, I think. I think now, for one, Sonic games aren't coming out so rapid fire, but also, I don't know, they're not getting as much attention. I don't think they're getting as much praise. And I have to be honest, I didn't play the newest Sonic games. I heard good things about it. It just got really overshadowed by other releases at the time. Would be my assessment of it, having, said, not really being in that field at all. But I mean, Sonic's always going to be an icon, and the movies have been doing really great. And I was never like a big Dr. Eggman supporter in the past. What kind of pushed me that direction was when they added Sephiroth, as strange as that might sound. Right, I've always been a big advocate of getting all the big Nintendo villains in there. Now that we have like Ridley and King K. Rool, I felt like that was accomplished. When they added Sephiroth, I felt like it was opening up an opportunity to add like all the biggest video game villains of all time. And honestly, if they added Dr. Eggman, I think that would mostly be covered as far as like classic Nintendo adjacent big boss characters go. You could definitely make arguments for more. I mean, there's plenty of good Nintendo bosses. You've got Dr. Wily as well, as far as like third-party villains go. I think Dr. Eggman is like the standout one, far above the rest of the competition. If you were to put him into Smash Brothers, you'd be like, oh yeah, we have all the big Nintendo villains now. That's just my personal take on it. Once again, nothing I've seen like really pushes Dr. Eggman or this or that. It's more of kind of just a fulfillment of being like, yeah, Sonic getting a second character and getting Dr. Eggman as another big villain character. That's it. For number 8, I'm going with Crash Bandicoot. This is a character that picked up a lot of steam during Smash Ultimate speculation, especially for DLC speculation, right? After like a lot of the big game players were added in the base game, then people started being like, okay, Crash Bandicoot is one of the next big things we want to see. I especially saw a peak of Crash Bandicoot after Banjo-Kazooie was added. It's like people think that Crash Bandicoot is the next big like platforming adventure mascot character to add now that they have Banjo Kazooie. And I can see that. I would tend to agree. That being said, I have him lower on the list because as far as big just Smash requests go, like Crash Bandicoot, it's one that's not that hasn't been as long running, right? Characters like Ridley and King K. Rool, I mean, those were things that the community was constantly asking for years and years and years and years. And the Crash Bandicoot voice, that's more of a newer thing. And on top of that, just the combination of him being entirely third party, and I think kind of the question of what the future of the series is going to be like are reasons I have him lower on the list, but I have him on the list as a character that's like, yeah, this is one that got talked about and brought up a lot during previous Smash discussions, and so now for a future installment, it's one that they would have time to consider. For number 7, I'm going with good old Ryu Hayabusa. I talked about this one a lot during my own videos for Smash Ultimate DLC speculation. So let me kind of rewind back to the beginning of this all. I thought it was really cool in Smash 4 when they added in a Mega Man. That was a big fan demand. It was like, hey, this is a big third-party classic Nintendo icon. We really want Mega Man in Smash. And they did it. And then I think a lot of people, myself included, were then like, okay, well, the follow-up to that, we want to see it again. The follow-up to that would be Castlevania. And they added Simon Belmont and Richter Belmont. Awesome. I always said years ago that, okay, the next one after that, if they actually do add Castlevania stuff, is going to be Ninja Gaiden and adding Ryu Hayabusa. And so that's where I think we're at, just in that progression. And it would be cool, I think, to finally get Tecmo on board with all the other third-party companies we have in Smash right now. So there's a lot of reasons I want Ryu Hayabusa. I like the ninja thing. I like his special abilities. I like the katana fighting style, which we still don't have in Smash Brothers. I like, just continuously adding these very old classic Nintendo third-party icons. And Ryu Hayabusa is not the only one who fits that bill. There's always like Bomberman, Arthur from Ghosts and Ghouls. I think Ryu Hayabusa is the next one. So I have him here. I've had him on a lot of lists over these last few years, so no surprise that he's here, but here he is. For number 6, I'm going with Magalor from Kirby. Some people say that like Kirby's overdue for a new character. It's been a while since they had a new one, right? King Dedede and Meta Knight simultaneously were the last ones. I would argue that Zelda is more in that boat, but we're not comparing Zelda and Kirby right now. We're saying, hey, it's been a while since we had a new Kirby thing. And Magalor is one that's been very popular. Bandana Waddle Dee is the one that always gets brought up. And so, I think you could swap that out. Just be like, okay, Magalor or Bandana Waddle Dee is something new from Kirby. The thing that's pushing Magalor more in my mind right now, of course, is the recent stuff they've been doing with Kirby, where they not only do they keep having Magalor like they do with Bandana Waddle Dee, but now they've got like this whole new playable mode with him in the new Return for Dreamland, and who knows if that really means anything. I'm just remembering discussions I had with people where it turns out like Magalor is like this super popular Kirby character in Japan, and that's why they keep pushing him. So I could see that being more like a combination of adding another Kirby character and adding something that's a little newer or a little more pushed now, and adding something that fans like, just kind of all combining into Magalor. It's kind of a question for me. Like I said, Bandana Waddle Dee might still overtake that for general popularity and general requests. I'm not 100% certain. It could really go either way. I can see the whole Kirby thing getting in now, right. Donkey Kong finally got a new character with King K. Rool, so now it's like, okay, can we get a new Kirby character now? I can see that being the case. So I got Magalor on here. Could be Bandana Waddle Dee, something from Kirby. For number 5, I wrote down a Lear, the main new character of Fire Emblem Engage. Because, Smash Brothers needs more Fire Emblem characters, right? We're not going to talk about that aspect, right? Is the question, hey, does Fire Emblem have too many characters in Smash Brothers? The answer is yes. But what I'm looking at here is, right, what's changed between Smash Ultimate and a potential upcoming game? What big new releases for the series of Nintendo or brand new Nintendo series do we have? We had a big new Fire Emblem release. Now, who knows how far that's really going to go? There's a couple of things. For one thing, Fire Emblem Engage does a lot with the older characters from Fire Emblem for like the first time ever. So you could make an argument that you don't really need a new Fire Emblem character. You can keep on representing with the old ones because the old ones are also main characters in the new game. It's also very possible that by the time a new Smash rolls around, Engage will be so far gone they don't really need to promote it at all, or there could even be a new Fire Emblem thing. They might reserve a slot for like the future for another Fire Emblem character coming out later, like they did for Byleth. So what I'm trying to say here with putting a Lear at number 5 is expect a new Fire Emblem character. And honestly, I don't mean that in a bad way. I know a lot of people get upset with the constant adding of Fire Emblem characters now, but in my mind, right, if you're promoting characters and you're going with Nintendo's big series like Mario and Zelda and stuff, for the most part, once you've added a few characters, you have the main cast of those games, right? Mario games have Mario, Peach, and Bowser. Zelda games have Link, Zelda, and Ganondorf. So you have those characters, change them up a little bit. It's the same representation every time. Um, but with a game like Fire Emblem that has like entirely different continents and entirely different casts of characters for every single game, it makes sense for them to add a new protagonist to the Smash Brothers roster to be like, oh yeah, did you play this Fire Emblem game recently? Okay, well now you can play as that character in Smash Brothers, right? That's not typically the case. Now, for Fire Emblem Engage, it could be because characters like Marth and Ike and now Robin and this and that, they're all in Engage. So there's not as much of a need for a new Fire Emblem character. I'm just saying expect one. And as far as that goes, I don't think Lear would be an awful choice. Are they another sword wielder? Yes. But they also do martial arts, so you can have a little bit of change up there in the move set, and you can have fun with the engage system. I think that might be a fun way to include some more of the Fire Emblem lores that they haven't yet. You could have like a Lyn mode that you engage and you use Lyn's ability. You could have like a Sigurd mode, a Celica mode. It'd be a fun way to incorporate the lords that they haven't yet, so that they're not swamping the roster with every single main lord ever. So who knows, right? The only thing where this is going to change, right? We're assuming for this video that every character comes back somehow, so there's no like discussion of like, oh, we're going to add this character because they took this character away. But right, it's always possible that the next Smash Brothers game will like completely overhaul the roster or do major cuts. And yes, as much as I like Fire Emblem, I would say Fire Emblem is my favorite video game series at this point. You don't need all those characters anymore. Some of the games, those ones are just not as good. You don't really need Roy or Corrin. For number 4, in the same vein, I say expect a new Pokemon. Pokemon is something that is constantly promoted, and there's always like merchandising and promoting and this and that for. So just expect a new Pokemon. Is it going to be something from Scarlet and Violet? Maybe. I mean, are they going to do sequel follow-ups like, I don't know, Infrared, Scarlet, and Ultraviolet? Who knows? I have no clue. And of course, once again, with how Pokemon has traditionally pumped out games, we might have an entirely new gen by the time the next Smash Brothers comes around. We have a totally new Pokemon to represent. So, don't think too hard about your choices now, but I would expect a new Pokemon if we were getting newcomers. Now, I like writing down names more than I like writing down ideas. The name I wrote down was Tinkaton. I mean, is that really more likely than any other Pokemon? No. It's just one that I found particularly interesting while I was playing Scarlet and Violet. And I'll be honest, I didn't play either of those games all the way through. It didn't interest me enough to buy it. And I think that's kind of the direction that Pokemon's going right now. So we'll see what happens. That's why I don't have this like all the way at the top. I don't think it's as inevitable as it used to be. It's just still mostly inevitable. Um, but no, when I was playing through the game, like I said, I just borrowed it from my brother. I didn't buy it myself. Um, Tinkaton stood out to me. I was like, oh, this thing's cool. Little steel fairy with a giant hammer. I think that'd be really fun for Smash Brothers. I mean, sure, we got other hammer wielders already. We got Ice Climbers and DDD, but whatever. We have so many swords. What does it matter if we have another hammer? Do something really fun with it, I think. Um, I guess I don't have much more to say on that. I would expect a new Pokemon. I always expect a new Pokemon, and I like Tinkaton. That's it. For number three, I wrote down Noah and Mio. Now, if you've watched me over the last few years, you know that my Xenoblade knowledge is next to nothing. So I know very little about Noah and Mio, besides the fact that they're the main characters of Xenoblade Chronicles 3. So I don't even know if it makes sense for them to be a tag team like it did with like Pyra and Mithra, or how that would work or how it would function. I haven't watched any Xenoblade Chronicles 3 gameplay. I know little tidbits of plot from here and there from what my roommates told me, but yeah. Xenoblade's been doing well. I heard Xenoblade Chronicles 3 did well, and so I don't see why they wouldn't follow it up with the same treatment they gave Xenoblades 1 and 2. You had Shulk, got Pyramithra, Noah, and Mio. Yeah, that's going to be my shortest explanation because I don't even know these characters. For number two, I put Sans. Undertale was really huge. Deltarune is ongoing. It seems like Toby Fox has been getting closer and closer with projects at Nintendo. Uh, and it's still a very popular character, a very popular series, or just game, however you want to classify it. It's performed very well. There's already been some assets in Smash Ultimate with the Sans Me costume and the Megalovania song. Um, Obviously, just like some of the other things I've said, it's interchangeable. Magalor, Bandana, Waddle Dee. You could have Sans or Frisk or maybe even Chris. Whatever you want to do there. I'm just saying, people talk about an indie game breaking into Smash Brothers to represent that scene, and I think Undertale is just the clear-cut, obvious choice there. I don't think anything else comes even close at this point. So, yeah, I actually have it really high up there as something that we could see for a future Smash Brothers game. For number one, I did Waluigi. Right, you want to talk about characters that get requested, and that a lot of people have backing for, and you want to follow up to like Ridley or King K. Rool or things like that. Waluigi's it. I mean, that's how I feel. His voice might have been smaller back in the day, like 15 years ago, but it was there and it's growing, and it was even acknowledged during Smash Ultimate speculation, or not even speculation, when he was announced, oh, he's not going to be playable, they actually did address, oh, hey, yes, okay, we know people want Waluigi now. So that's a pretty big deal to me. I can't recall another character getting a treatment like that, where they're actually like name dropped as like, yes, we know people want this person. So I'm absolutely standing by what I said in the Waluigi video. Waluigi getting acting in Smash is just a matter of time. So if we get a future Smash game where we don't have to worry about cuts or redoing the entire roster, or redoing the entire game, I mean, I think he's a shoo-in. And I mean, you can never be 100% positive, so I won't be like 100% yes, Waluigi is going to be playable in the next Smash. But if they're adding new characters on top of the ones they already have, I'd be surprised if he wasn't one of the choices. Even though Mario doesn't always get a new character in every Smash Brothers game, it's very consistent. We very consistently get new Mario characters in Smash Brothers game. And in Smash Brothers game. And I think Waluigi is just the front runner of that by far. There's other options, of course, but none that nearly have the backing and voice of Waluigi. Um, so yeah, I mean, I could go on and give more examples and this and that, but hey, that's it for my list. And I'll be honest, this is the most time I've spent thinking about Smash Brothers in a very long time. So I'm sure there's other, newer trends and this and that that I've missed somewhere along the way, and I've already got several in mind of things that are very possible that I just didn't put on a top 10. So as always, but even more than ever, I would love to see your comments on not just what you think of this list, but what your own ideas are on who you think they really might go for a future Smash Brothers title. On top of the roster we already have. If you want to talk about, it's like, okay, I think they might cut this character and add this one instead, that's fine too. Or if you just want to talk about what characters you'd like to see, I mean, I would still really like to see Rayman. I don't want to say I've lost hope for that. I just wouldn't put it in the top 10 list anymore. Um, but yeah, no, please comment. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching, listening, sorry for the very minimalist editing. But thank you for watching regardless. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.